penny dropped. I went, this is exactly what Jimmy should do, you know. Well, anyway, needless to say, that's the story. And so I turned Jimmy on to him, and that became Led Zeppelin.
In the 60s, Aretha Franklin said there are only three things happening in England: the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Terry Reid. Also known as Superlungs, Terry Reid was one of the most promising vocalists at the time. However, he's best known for turning down Led Zeppelin, and I bet that's how you know his name. But the problem is, he didn't turn down Led Zeppelin. Let me explain by first going back to 1965. Now, the genre's leading vocalists such as Rod Stewart, Steve Marriott, Joe Cocker, and Steve Winwood were dubbed blue-eyed soul singers by the press. Among them, a young talent emerged, 15-year-old Terry Reid from Cambridgeshire. While still a student, he was recruited by Peter Jay to front the Jaywalkers, quickly earning acclaim in the music press as the newest member of this elite group. Even later in his career, Terry Reid's voice remains incredibly impressive, infusing a deep emotion into every word. Despite a career marked by constant legal battles and bad luck, he maintains in his later career a philosophical and positive outlook, instead of any bitterness. While widespread and deserved recognition eluded him, he doesn't consider it essential. And his music may not be as widely known as some of his peers, but he does have a cult following who appreciate and celebrates his long and varied career. Yet his career is often overshadowed by this persistent myth, the story that Terry Reid declined the opportunity to be the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. A narrative so removed from the truth that it almost seems unfair. Terry was just 12 years old when he joined his first band. After a few years playing the local scene, he soon realised he needed to venture out into the wider world, specifically London. And it wasn't long before he got his big break. At 15, he was offered the position with Peter Jay and the Jaywalkers. Now, this was no ordinary band. It was a 7-piece group featuring 2 bass players and a horn section. Their debut single, Can Can 62, produced by Joe Meek, made it onto the charts. Those subsequent releases, like the Green Onions-inspired Red Cabbage, were more quirky instrumentals. By 1965, Jay was looking to reinvent the band's sound and saw the young, soulful voice of Terry as the key to their new direction. Now, Terry quickly caught the attention of the music press, who dubbed him as one of the exclusive members of this blue-eyed soul singer group. And this label, by the way, Blue-Eyed Soul Singer, was used by the press at the time to describe white singers who sang what was then considered black music, influenced by blues, folk, and country. In late 1966, the new Jaywalkers embarked on their first major UK tour, performing alongside the Rolling Stones, Ike and Tina Turner, and the Yardbirds. They also released a new single, and things seemed promising. However, Terry was blindsided when Jay announced the band's breakup, leaving the young singer unexpectedly without a job. As Terry began to establish himself as a songwriter, he formed a new blues rock power trio. It wasn't long before they caught the attention of Mickie Most, one of Britain's most influential producers at the time. Most, who had achieved chart-topping success on both sides of the Atlantic and worked with artists Terry admired, offered them an exclusive recording contract. Eager to work with such a renowned producer, Terry, of course, accepted. The recording of his debut album began in the summer of 1968. During the sessions, the band received an offer to open for Cream on their farewell tour in America. Now, Terry Reid had always dreamed of success in America, so this offer was too good to pass up on. And the band quickly transformed from playing tiny clubs to performing in front of 15,000 fans in stadiums. The response to their live act in America was overwhelmingly positive, and they returned to the UK brimming with confidence and ready to make their mark. Bizarrely, Most decided to release Reid's debut album in the US only, not the UK, perhaps a reason he never quite reached the top levels of recognition in the UK. And this wouldn't be the only time that Most made a bit of a weird decision when it came to Reid's albums. While recording his second album, he was once again offered the opportunity to go back to the States, this time performing with the Rolling Stones on their 1969 tour. He went, and when he returned, he had found that Most had completed the rest of his album without him, and this really upset Terry. Feeling angry and betrayed, Terry confronted Most in a heated argument. Now, Most was known at the time for being completely uncompromising, so he gave the 19-year-old Terry Reid an ultimatum: comply with his directives or face the end of his recording career completely. Terry, unwilling to be coerced, stood his ground. But unfortunately, this decision backfired. Mickie Most froze his contract, leading to 4 years of legal battles. And these legal battles prevented Reid from recording any new music. And when his bandmates in America heard the news, they felt they had no choice other than to leave the band, so they did. Once again, Terry found himself on his own without a job. And amazingly for Terry, any lingering anger or despair for that time is hidden behind humour and optimism today. In interviews, when questioned about the producer who broke promises and derailed the career of a young artist on the brink of success, rather than admit his mistakes, Terry simply responds, "I have no animosity towards Mickie Most." This statement alone speaks volumes about his character. Despite the difficulties with the second album, he garnered significant attention for his powerful rendition of the soul classic Stay With Me Baby. Reid's explosive vocal performance could outshine even the likes of Janis Joplin and Joe Cocker. His version stands as one of the most intense torch ballads ever recorded. Now, it was around this time that the infamous offer from Jimmy Page materialized. But what exactly happened there? Let's set the record straight. In the summer of 1968, the Yardbirds disbanded. With a short tour in Scandinavia already scheduled, bassist Chris Dreyer and guitarist Jimmy Page planned to fulfill their commitments by hiring new members just for those shows. However, when Dreyer eventually pulled out, Jimmy Page was left with no one. Unable to use the Yardbirds as a name, he was advised to perform under the new Yardbirds, and so needed new members. Because both Terry Reid and Jimmy Page were associated with Mickie Most and represented by his partner Peter Grant, Terry was asked if he would be interested in filling in as the singer for the tour. While it sounded like an exciting opportunity for Terry Reid, the timing was unfortunate. Terry was already working on a new album and was committed to a tour with The Doors and Jefferson Airplane, leaving him no choice but to decline. "I told him, if you want to do it, wait a couple of weeks. I'll be back from the tour and we can give it a shot." But he wanted to do it right then, Reid said. Soon after, Terry encountered his friends Robert Plant and John Bonham from the Band of Joy, who were then at loose ends. Now, Terry saw an opportunity here. He invited both Bonham and Plant to a cafe. They spoke, and then Reid took them to the RAK office, where they met Jimmy Page. This introduction eventually led to the formation of Led Zeppelin. So contrary to popular belief, Terry Reid never turned down an offer to join Led Zeppelin because the band didn't exist at the time. He simply declined 9 shows with the new Yardbirds. In fact, Terry played a crucial role in the formation of Led Zeppelin, introducing Jimmy Page to Plant and Bonham. The what-if speculation is pretty pointless. I mean, while Terry and Jimmy Page might have written great songs together, Led Zeppelin was ultimately Page's vision, and he wanted a dedicated frontman. Terry, an accomplished guitarist in his own right, would not have been satisfied being just a singer. The unique chemistry that became Led Zeppelin could only exist with the original 4 members. In 2004, when Robert Plant joined Terry on stage at The Joint, he remarked, "This man should have had my life. Mind you, I'm not sure he'd want it." To which Terry humorously replied, "I wouldn't mind some of the money." Unfortunately, this anecdote has led to a persistent narrative that focuses on Terry's supposed missed opportunity, rather than celebrating his accomplishments. His remarkable voice, versatile songwriting, memorable live performances, and albums now being rediscovered as forgotten classics deserve recognition in their own right, free from the shadow of what might have been. And Jimmy Page wasn't the only one who wanted to harness Reid's powerful voice and emotional depth at that time. Deep Purple also approached him, seeking his talents just before they chose Ian Gillan in 1969. And he revealed that he never seriously considered the Deep Purple offer. "I told Ritchie Blackmore hard rock isn't my thing." Of course, Led Zeppelin went on to become one of the biggest bands on the planet, but did you know the members weren't actually friends? Yeah, John Paul Jones revealed this recently. You can click over here for the full story on that.